Tell us a little bit about this piece. What made you want to put it together, and what did you find?
Well, look, I've been in the digital space in conservative politics for uh, over 20 years. We were the first to call out Google in 2004 for bias in its ad algorithm. We were the first shadow banned account on Facebook when I put up a meme that said, when Obama calls the SEALs, they got Bin Laden. When the SEALs called Obama, they got denied. It's long documented. The bias in the Silicon Valley tendency to censor, to demonetize, to choke conservative content has been well documented. It was covert at one point, but over the last couple of years, they were really overt about it, and now they're going back in the closet and being more covert about their bias. But anybody that's used AI and asked political questions automatically gets the liberal bias answer first, and it's like getting the first page of Google, because people make up their mind on the first page of Google. You're going to make up your mind on the first answer from the prompt on the political question that you're asking. And over and over and over again, AI has shown that it has very strong liberal bias.
Well, and this really goes back to one of those things that, like, I'm not a computer programmer, but I do understand some of the basics of this, and garbage in, garbage out. This has always been one of the issues in computing. It's always been one of the issues in algorithms or systemic modeling, and that's the same issue that a lot of the AI has now. Not just the bias in terms of being fed these far left sources like Wikipedia or the New York Times or so many of liberal corporate media that's out there. But also one of the issues that's come up is that AI is degrading as the models are continuing to be trained on these on the internet, because there's so much AI generated content that's now appearing on the internet. So you have AI that's being trained on AI, which degrades the overall value of the model itself.
You're 100% right, and it's going to continue to get worse. And look, AI is now, these AI companies, these major LLMs are making deals. You saw there was a huge deal with Amazon that was put out there to the New York Times, where they're paying the New York Times an undisclosed amount of money, probably hundreds of millions of dollars, to train its model on the New York Times. And you're seeing that these companies are going out either to mainstream or to very liberal publications and paying them a lot of money so that they can train their model on their content. And what they're not doing is they're not seeking out conservative publications and conservative voices like Human Events or the Post Millennial or the Washington Examiner, and et cetera, and so on. And we have to get these AI companies for two reasons. One, the Silicon Valley has destroyed the financial wherewithal of a lot of these companies on the right, because they've demonetized them, they've throttled them, they've choked them, and they've put them in deep financial stress. And two, these AI models need to be trusted. And look, I've said this for a very long time. Trust is the number one asset. It's the number one investment that AI companies need to make in order to yield a high investment. And right now, who's going to trust an AI company like OpenAI or Google that puts George Washington as a black president? Or you type in OpenAI, who's the president, and they say Joe Biden is still the president. I mean, there's lots and lots of evidence overall that they are just off the rails in terms of their liberal bias.
Well, and so what you're explaining, though, is actually potentially a way for AI to correct this issue, or potentially help with this, and perhaps President Trump's AI policy. And we know that this is coming out of the White House now. That's something where numerous individuals in the administration, I would say Elon, but he's sort of stepped away, but he obviously plays a huge role in Grok and XAI, even going to the point where I believe that X itself has now been signed over to XAI, so that all of the content that I post on X, that everyone posts on X, it's already being fed into the XAI algorithm, so that it's training Grok as you go, and so there's no issues there. So one of the now obviously there's conservatives and liberals on it, but what you're saying is that they could go in and actually work with feed it Human Events, feed it The War Room, feed it Tucker Carlson, and then you would get, at least achieve a balance or an understanding that there are various perspectives on these issues.
You're absolutely right. There has to be an equal weight. You know, the way these systems work is they weight these publications, they weight these sources. There has to be an equal weight on the conservative side as there is on the liberal side. And these companies not only have to use their content, but they also have to pay for the content, and it has to be at the same market rate that they're making deals with the New York Times, that they're making deals with the Washington Post and CNN. They have to use conservative publications and paid conservative publications at least the same amount, if not more, because they've been using they've been throttling and demonetizing and hurting these conservative publications for a very long time.
Well, and we know, and this has been done all the way back to the days of Breitbart and Sleeping Giants, that they use this as a model to block conservative news or just truthful news, anything that's out there telling the truth, whether it be Russia, whether it be Hunter Biden, whether it be Joe Biden's mental status, or whether it be COVID and everything that's happening and these Chinese pathogens. And apparently we just caught another Chinese pathogen up in Michigan.